Okay.
Good. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anything I have to know? What is your style? Something I have to do?
Do whatever you want. It's up to you. We have around 1 hour, but maybe 10 minutes more or less. It's up to you. So,
Okay, good.
including questions. So,
do you sing Radha Madhava?
Well, you can sing for yourself, but you won't be hearing us because that will create a big sound chaos. Because if we sing and you sing and everyone's singing and we hear each other, then it's like only you hear bits and pieces. It's horrible. So, I mean, you can sing for yourself. We can sing here if you want. If you don't want to sing, then that's also fine.
It's okay. We don't have to. Good. Okay, then I will start. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak about Bhagavad Gita. Maybe a small introduction to myself. My name is Ananda Krishna Das. I am trying to become a devotee in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I'm originally from Austria. I'm active in the Hare Krishna movement since 2002 when I joined in Vienna and became a brahmachari and a book distributor. And in this time, developed my service and defined my personality to some degree. So, and it came out that I really like to, maybe I don't have to speak so loud, huh? Speaking as I can speak more peaceful. And it came out for myself that I really like to speak about Krishna consciousness and teach also. So I'm a communicator of this wonderful knowledge, and I am something is okay. There was some maybe
that was not you. That was some person who did not mute his phone. Please mute your phone, otherwise we will be hearing everything you do and say. That is, and and it will be recorded and put on YouTube. So that's not so useful.
So yeah, and I was many years on book distribution, which was very important for my development and still is. And since last year in the fall, I entered into Grihastha ashram. And the wonderful thing is why I did that actually, because I see I can do the same as before. Because sometimes brahmacharis, they have to change, they have to go to work because they have to earn money and many things change. But for myself, this is my spiritual passion, my spiritual desire to preach and explain about Krishna consciousness and study and communicate and use also this media. As many of you know, I have a YouTube channel, I have some online presence. And I could see I could continue this wonderful service, which makes me so happy. And at the same time have also a family life, which is very good also for personal development. So my main service is to speak about Krishna consciousness, and I try to do it in a very direct way, in a very pure way. I have a motto also of my channel: purity is the force. So I'm always reminded to stick to the essence. And so I very often do lectures like this online and just read from the scripture and explain it. So this is anyway what I'm always doing. But I think for me now, first time on Zoom. Normally I'm on YouTube. So yeah, but it's kind of the same. I'm sitting here in front of my camera and the lights, and I can see here you at the side. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna. Greetings to Berlin, and I don't know where else. But Berlin, I'm actually very connected to Berlin. Not so many of you might know, but this was actually for the major time in my time in the Hare Krishna movement was my temple. These Jagannath deities you see in front of you, these were also my deities because I was from 2004 to 2012 based in Berlin. I was living there. Yeah, so have good remembrance to yeah, it's very nice that you keep this place active. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, just a small introduction. Bhagavad Gita is a great revelation. It's a book. That's actually not a book, it's a dialogue. Gita, it's a song by God, which is already interesting that we have a revelation in this way, in this style, that God is not just speaking or giving a book, or no, he reveals himself through a song. And this shows already the nature of Krishna. Every one of us knows that Krishna plays the flute. Krishna is accompanied by wonderful music by the also by the Gopas. They have flutes, they have musical instruments. So Krishna likes music. And interesting, when he speaks this most important knowledge, he's singing it, or when he communicates this knowledge, when he gives this information to the souls, to all of us via the medium of Arjuna, he's singing it. So I find this always very interesting and very satisfying that Krishna, our understanding of God, is one of aesthetic. He is the perfect aesthetic person. And so also aesthetics in our material world, which is manifested through art, is or should be a resemblance of God, meaning that art or artistic expressions should actually bring to our senses the divinity. May it be in a painting, may it be in a sculpture, may it be also in architecture, which is an art and practical art, because we are using the buildings. May it be in poetry or in music. So all artistic expressions are originally intent to remember, to connect us to God via one of his most important aspects, which is beauty. Beauty is one of the attracting features of Krishna, and beauty in the material world attracts us. And when this beauty is a symbol or remembrance, a media towards God, it's a wonderful way how to be God conscious. So it's not one of course, we have also, I say, tough ways and methods how to become God conscious. There's renunciation. There is some kind of painful way to realize God, but at the same time, in Krishna consciousness, which should be actually the predominant way how we get attracted to Krishna, is or how we get connected, is one of pleasure, of beauty, of pleasure and beauty. So the beauty, the original beauty is there, or the original beauty is Krishna. He is the perfect beauty, and whatever he does and any aspect of his is beautiful, and in that sense, in that way, attracting. Anything beautiful in the material world, and we can philosophize a lot, is there a standard beauty, or is beauty liegt Schönheit im Auge des Betrachters? Yeah, so is it only relative, or is it kind of universal? So I'm not a philosopher, but would be interesting thesis for a philosophy, a topic for a philosophy thesis. And I would pledge, I would argue that beauty is universal, and because beauty is Krishna. Yeah, beauty is Krishna. Krishna is the beauty. So, so this is just a little introduction to the word Gita. Yeah, that this musical expression, and this is also interesting, it's not just a song, right? Nowadays, most of our music which we listen, or the material world, or the world, not we as devotees, but as the humanity in general, most of the music which is consumed, um, okay, sometimes it has some deeper information, but very often not. And people, most of the people just go for the sound. If it sounds nice, they think, oh, it's cool, I want to listen to that, I might dance, I'm kind of moved by it. But of course, there's lots of music also, material music, so to say, which has some deeper meaning, and the lyrics are somehow rather communicating some deeper meanings. So that should be there, and that we have here in the Bhagavad Gita. It is the perfect sound vibration, a beautiful song. The Sanskrit itself is very poetic. It's not just poetic. The information is not just poetic. Also, the sound is poetic. Sanskrit sounds very nice, I must say. And all the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita are in a meter, right? You have this, most of the shlokas are in the so-called Anushtup meter. It's, what is it? I think 8 syllables. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Okay, someone can correct me who is a Sanskrit scholar. But I thought it was 8 or 10 syllables. So anyway, there's a meter, there's a structure. It's not just a prose text, it's actually a poetry. So it's, the Sanskrit sounds nice. You can sing it in a melody, like this verse I just opened here. Tesham satata yuktanam vachatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Right? It sounds nice. It's somehow, Prabhupada actually said that Sanskrit can be, should be recited and sung, and even though we might not understand it, it has some effect on us. It's uplifting, it's spirit. We get Krishna eyes, as Prabhupada says, Krishna isiert. We get spiritually uplifted by just hearing the sound vibration. So it sounds nice, it has a nice melody, the sound itself, the syllables or the language is beautiful, it's aesthetic. And then, of course, the meaning. That is a very, very deep meaning. It's a wonderful philosophy, but not just philosophy. It's a wisdom. It's it's emotional, right? It's a human. It's a strong human tendencies. So the emotional human side is explained and is taken into account. It's not just transcendental, right? We go beyond all human experience and enter into an abstract reality, or a reality which has nothing to do with the material world. No, there's a man on a battlefield, he's in conflict. And Krishna takes this into account, right? This is kind of this breeding ground of this philosophy, this fight, this struggle, emotional struggle, a quite human struggle. So the Bhagavad Gita is, from many points of view, very interesting. And I just wanted to give this as a kind of introduction to make us maybe a little bit aware of their speciality, the special thing the Bhagavad Gita is, of this very uncommon and very special book. It's an extremely special book, and it's a book we should actually dedicate our life to. Yeah, as devotees, as devotees of Krishna, right? There are many devotees. Devotee means someone who's devoted, and people are devoted to all kinds of things. So we are devotees of Krishna. We should be eager. We should be eager, enthusiastic to love Krishna. And those who have this endeavor, they love everything what is connected with Krishna. And the Bhagavad Gita is one of his closest things, so to say, right? These are his words. And so we should be very enthusiastic to hear Bhagavad Gita on and on and on, and have always getting a better understanding of it. Bhagavad Gita should be a guidebook, a guiding text for our life. we should base our beliefs, our hopes, our knowledge on Bhagavad Gita, and we should in the end actually get into a personal loving relationship with Krishna through the Bhagavad Gita, or let's say through the door which is the Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is, as Prabhupada says, the ABC in the science of Krishna consciousness, which is the science of devotional service, of bhakti. So the Bhagavad Gita is kind of the door, the first door, or is like is like the key to the door into Goloka Vrindavan, because based on the understanding of Bhagavad Gita and based on the presentation of Bhagavad Gita, of Prabhupada's presentation of Bhagavad Gita, we enter into many other informations in other Vaishnav literature, Gaudiya Vaishnav literatures, which we cannot understand without Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita will always be there. It will be always there, even though we entered then into more detailed knowledge about Krishna, as in Bhagavatam, Dashamaskanda, 10th Canto, and other texts of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. So Bhagavad Gita should always be there. Bhagavad Gita should be read daily. I actually, because I want to always stay in contact with Bhagavad Gita, I said to myself now, because I had many things to do recently, and my reading went a little bit in the background, even though I read always, but maybe I felt it was not enough. So I downloaded some app, like a habit tracker app or something, to remind me to read every day at least one shloka of Bhagavad Gita, right? So, and always I do that, but it's never staying with one shloka, because I read a second, third, and most of the time read 5 or 10 or something like this. And so this is just a little tip for those who might not read so regularly, or read Bhagavad Gita every day, stay in contact with these words, study them, enter into them. So, and on this point, let's go into the verse which is for today's lecture, where we want to now enter into more detailed, into a certain part in this discussion. So I think it was told to me 4.3 is today. Okay, so the 4th chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge, or in the Sanskrit text is, or title is Jnana Yoga. Gyan means knowledge. In English, actually, this has a connection. The word Gyan and knowledge has the same root, so to say. They're kind of similar. So Jnana Yoga means the yoga of knowledge. And this chapter explains what is knowledge and what's the fruit of transcendental knowledge. And we are now in the 3rd verse, so right in the beginning. And we will read this verse and a kind of a short purport by Srila Prabhupada. But this is no problem, because I anyway like to go step by step also through the purport. And when the purport is short, we will definitely cover the content, and I try to go deeper into in the words of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, text 3. Saivayam mayate dya yoga prokta puratanaha bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hietat uttamam. Sa, the same, eva, certainly, I am this, maya, by me, te, unto you, adya, today, yoga, the science of yoga, prokta, spoken, puratanaha, very old, bhakta, devotee, asi you are, me, my, sakha, friend, cha, also, iti, therefore, rahasyam, mystery, he certainly, etat, this, uttamam, transcendental. Translation. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. One second, here's my window and there are some children playing, and I don't know if you hear that my microphone is kind of sensitive. So 1 second, I just close the window before we continue. So, okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so this was the verse. Maybe before I continue, the verse again. So that very ancient science, Puratana means old. So this very old, ancient science, Prabhupada translates it as a science of the relationship with the Supreme. So yoga, Puratana, this ancient yoga system is told by me to you. So Krishna says, I will tell you this now, this secret, because he says also rahasyam. Rahasyam means, Prabhupada says here, mystery. It's in secret. It's something what not everyone knows. It's secret knowledge. So who wants to know a secret, right? When we hear what's a secret, we are already, oh, what is it? Yeah, it has some aura around it, right? A secret. Then we are very curious. What is it? So we should get curious now. What will Krishna tell Arjuna now? What is this secret? What is this confidential knowledge, this mystery? What he will unveil now? And it's also said it's uttamam, it's transcendental. So it's a very powerful knowledge, very powerful science, which connects us with Krishna, which connects us with the Supreme and gives us a transcendental experience. And Krishna says here, why is he doing this? Bhaktosi me sakacheti, because you are my bhakta and you are my friend. And so this is very important for us also in two, how to say, in two ways? No, let's say like this. Only if we are devotees, we will take this word serious, right? If we are not devotees, we might take it serious just from an intellectual point of view, but we will not kind of believe in it. We will not accept it in our heart, right? This saying, accept in our heart, is a little bit also mysterious, a little bit esoteric, but kind of accept it really, not just intellectually, to find it intellectually interesting, right? Or somehow or other, some other superficial reasons why we accept it or get into it. No, we should get into this knowledge within our heart, but not just heart, with our very, very self, so to say. Our very self should be connected with this knowledge. We should really accept it, believe it, take it in, so to say. So only when we are devotees and Sakha, when we are friends of Krishna, we will accept this knowledge, at least theoretically. And the other thing is, the more mystical part, only when we are devotees will we realize this knowledge, because Krishna controls this, and he will not let anyone in the spiritual world, which means also become Krishna conscious, become aware of him, having a relationship with him. He will not reveal himself to someone who is not his devotee. So we should really work on that, becoming real bhaktas and friends of Krishna. And the more we are such friends and bhaktas, the more Krishna will reveal himself, because he is to the symptom of a bhakta is bhakti, and Krishna is attracted to bhakti. So the more bhakti you have, the more Krishna is obliged to show himself. The pure devotee, this is very powerful. The pure devotee can see Krishna face to face. The pure devotees can see Krishna face to face, can talk with Krishna like with any other person, can see him, talk with him, even touch him. You might think, oh, no, that's not possible. Here's the proof. Arjuna saw Krishna. This was not just a voice in the head, a burning bush, some book. He was next to Krishna himself, talking with him, seeing him. touching him, hearing him. He could ask questions because Bhaktosi me sakacheti, because Arjuna is Krishna's friend. And Krishna wants to show himself to his friends. Krishna will not let us wait because Krishna wants to get into a relationship. But the problem is we are not qualified. But we are a bit qualified. And this we can see that we have some devotion which reveals some aspects of Krishna. Every one of you definitely will agree that, or will see that you have some relationship with Krishna, some experience with Krishna. Sometimes in the holy name you can feel Krishna's presence, and it's very powerful. It's very touching. It's very convincing. It makes us happy and it makes us grateful and makes us humble. Actually, this is actually one of the qualities we have to have. It's humility. Krishna is so much attracted to humility. The opposite of humility is pride. We know that Krishna doesn't like pride. This is somehow something which, he gets away. We know with the gopis. It's that they were proud. Of course, there are many explanations why this and that, but just from the basic story, they were proud, and Krishna immediately left. So we have to be very humble, like a devotee, be on, in that sense, on our knees in front of Krishna and bow down. Oh, my dear Lord, I'm so fallen, but you're so merciful. Please accept me. But on our knees, not out of like humiliation, no, because of humility, loving humility, that you are bound by love, that you're moved by love, and through this you bow down, you fold your hands. And so all this, also these physical expressions of humility and devotion are very important. When we enter the temple room, we bow down as kind of a ritual, but it does something to us. Yeah, it helps to become humble, and then Krishna is more and more attracted. So the more devotion we have, the more Krishna reveals himself. As I said, every one of us has some experience, slight, but at least something. And sometimes this slight experience is already quite wonderful when you chant the holy name and become sometimes, because, some of us more or less, of course, but material consciousness and ego, we are so proud, and it's very difficult to get into the right mood. But sometimes by Krishna's grace, we have the right mood, we have the nice praying attitude, and we chant in a nice way, and Krishna enters into our heart. He's there as the holy name. We experience him, and we are so happy. Oh, thank you, Krishna, that you appear in my chapel. Sometimes Krishna appears in our study of Shastra. He appears in the pages of his Katha. He appears in the pages of Bhagavad Gita. He appears very obviously in the spiritual master, and we are very connected with Krishna and very convinced. Or in so many ways, but every one of you should have some experience with Krishna. So these are revelations. Krishna reveals himself because we are, to some degree, his bhakta, and then he's very attracted. And the pure devotee on the highest, on the pure platform, Krishna appears in front of him, shows himself. He cannot not do it. He wants to show himself. This is actually what Krishna is waiting for all the time, but because of our impurities and our disqualification, Krishna cannot come. Krishna's like, I want to, but we are kind of blocking it. We are blind to it, to Krishna. Or we are actively ignoring Krishna, or we are working even against Krishna. Yeah, even though we are devotees or in the process, but there is still so much antagonism, enmity, and envy on our side, which is the blocking, the stumbling block on our path. It's like a big wall we build around us since time immemorial. So it's not easy to, tear down this wall, but step by step, it will work, and with time, it's the wall is dismantled, and on the other side is Krishna standing there since eternal time, since eternity is standing there and waiting for us. So we should not let him wait too much longer. Of course, he's very patient, but still, he is very happy when we are back. So again, this point, Bhakti attracts Krishna. Bhakti is actually a quality of Srimati Radharani, who is Bhakti Devi. And we know that Krishna is very attracted to Srimati Radharani because she's Bhakti personified. And because of our connection to this wonderful sampradaya, we can practice bhakti. And so we have some parts, so to say, of Srimati Radharani. We are engaged in her service in this Hare Krishna movement because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. He's thinking like Radharani, he's acting like Radharani. So it's actually Radharani's movement. So, and all the acharyas are Srimati Radharani's servants. They are in their spiritual form, manjaris, gopis, most of the time manjaris, servants of Radharani. So we are already engaged in this service and are, so to say, resembling Radharani to some degree. And Krishna is very attracted to Radharani, and he's then very attracted to us also when we have this bhakti. Yeah. So, and the pure devotee, again, the pure devotee has so much bhakti that Krishna is always there with him, as here we see with Arjuna. Krishna was right there with Arjuna. And Arjuna, of course, he's in a very traumatic situation, dramatic and traumatic situation. But actually, the mood of Arjuna towards Krishna is always out of pure love. And he's like, gazing, looking at Krishna's beautiful form is just in awe and reverence and in love and in friendship, very moved, as we see later on in the revelation of the universal form, where Arjuna prays, please show me again your Saumya Rupa, Saumya Vapu, your most beautiful two-handed form, which I'm longing so much to see that. And yeah, so the pure devotee sees Krishna, and Krishna is unlimitedly beautiful and full of wonderful qualities, our best friend, full of love, and we can enter into this relationship with Krishna. So, but for that we need bhakti, and the problem is that we do this apparatus. Aparada means offenses, Vergehen, we say in German. So in this word aparada, you have also Radha, Radharani, because Aradhanam, where the word Radha comes from, it means to worship. And aparad is the opposite, is to make offenses to. Yeah? So we should not do aparada, we should do aradhanam. We should worship Krishna. This is why Radharani is called Radharani, means the queen of worship. She is the best worshipper and lover of Krishna. So for this, we have to know what are the aparadas, because these are the mistakes we do. As long as we do mistakes, it's like you want to light a fire, but at the same time you put some water always on it. This will never burn. So once from one side, we chant, we try as good as we can, maybe even 16 rounds or more. We read, we do so many devotional activities, but then we come with this bucket of water, of apparatus, of mistakes, and we extinguish our fire. So we should know what are the apparatus. Of course, there are the 4 basic apparatus, the 4 regulative principles, right? We should not smoke a joint and drink a liter of beer before we chant Hare Krishna or after, right? Oh, now I'm done. I chant my 16 rounds. Now I can enjoy. And now I smoke my joint and drink a beer or go to the soccer game or whatever. You kind of extinguish your advancement you did. And there are also more subtle apparatus, the 10 offenses against the holy name, which I will not mention in detail now. And the worst of all the apparatus is Vaishnava apparata. And Vaishnava apparata is not just to beat a Vaishnava, it's not just to curse a Vaishnava, you idiot. It's not just to talk bad about a Vaishnava. It's not only to cheat a Vaishnava or lie to him, which is already quite gross. No, Vaishnava Parad is also to think and feel bad about a Vaishnava. And not just always like in a real hate. No, also slight misthinking and misfeeling towards a Vaishnava is an aparat, which Krishna does not like. because Krishna loves the devotees. And you might think, of course, Krishna loves the devotees, but only this devotee doesn't like, because he's not really a devotee. How can he be a devotee, right? Krishna loves every devotee, everyone who says, Krishna, you're my Lord, I want to surrender to you, who chants Hare Krishna, right? And who are we to say he's a devotee or he's not a devotee? Better to think they're all devotees, and I should really respect them. And those whom I don't like, which can happen, we are not saints, we cannot love everyone. Sometimes they are devotees we cannot like. They are so much against our nature, but only because we are disqualified, we are not able to like them, which is a mistake on our part, not on theirs. We don't like them. There's no justification for it. We think there's a justification because he sings like this, he talks like this, he is like this, or this and that. And we might have thousands of reasons why she or he cannot be liked by us. But the problem is on our side, not on theirs. Yeah. So you might be in a situation where you have a problem with a devotee, which is in one sense okay because of our conditioning, but how to deal with it. Not that it's not okay to think bad or speak bad about them or do worse things than that. No, it's that you should have respect from the distance. Keep respectful distance and honor them in your mind. You don't have to honor them personally directly, but if you could, that's even much better if you can jump over your ego. But at least in your mind, you should honor them. This is a wonderful devotee. I cannot see it because I'm conditioned. This is my problem. But Krishna definitely likes her or him. He is doing so much service. He chants Hare Krishna. He's this and yeah, glorify, not just respect or tolerance in their minds, but glorify, work on it, and you will see your heart will turn. You will see good qualities, and it might even happen that you somehow or other start to like the devotee. This might not be responded. Okay, it's another thing. Maybe the enmity is so strong, but at least we should clear and purify our heart from all bad feelings towards devotees, because Krishna does not like it at all. Krishna wants us to love and serve each other, because this is the mood of the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, everyone loves everyone. They love each other from their hearts, not just as etiquette. Oh, we are now in the spiritual world, we have to love each other, and now I like you, and Hare Krishna, can I serve you? No, really, they're highly spiritually emotional towards each other and love each other. So if we want to enter such a realm, we should be of a similar mood. And the mature world and the Sangha we have now, the association we have now, is kind of a playground, or it's a, how to say, it's yeah, where we can learn. It's a school, right? Where we can learn to behave in the right way. And we will test it constantly, especially in this relationship issues. It's not easy, I know, but we should really, really work on ourselves. And Krishna will appreciate this, and Krishna will empower us to do this impossible, to learn to overcome our ego, which consists of this envy, of this pride, of this antagonism, especially towards the devotees. He will help us, definitely. He will help us when we want it. But as long as we don't want it, don't understand it, he cannot help us. I think these were some valuable information, and not just for you now, especially for me. I find speaking about Krishna is my it's best education for me. So this is self-education. I don't want to come across to preach now to you, and because I know how it goes and I teach you something what you don't know. No, it's actually for my own purification and learning. And when I speak in this way, I can feel that this is something I have to really work on myself. And I hope because of this feeling of my own understanding of my own shortcomings, I can communicate it better, because it's something I experience. So good. That to the part. So Krishna says, I will give you now this ancient knowledge, which is a secret and it's transcendental. It's the science of how to connect with the Supreme. Yoga is the science of how to connect with me. And Bhaktosi me sakachiti, because you are my friend and you are my devotee, my friend, my devotee, my friend. So now, as I said, it's actually very nice that our, oops, the time is running. That this part is not so long, because I rather like to explain things more in detail. I hope to stick also as much as possible to the text, not go through the whole universe. Okay, now the purport. So there are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. Okay, Prabhupada is quite direct in the first sentence. There are two classes of men, not three, not 2.5, not 5, just two. Quite black and white. Huh? Devotee and demon. Okay, of course, this we can say is black and white, but between black and white, there are so many shades of gray. So there is a difference between a 100% demon or just a 25% demon. So it's not everyone who's not chanting Hare Krishna is a demon. It's a very important point, because sometimes devotees thought like that. Everyone who does not chant Hare Krishna, reads Bhagavad Gita, wears tilak, has a sika or some nice braids for the girls, or some sari or some dhoti, who has not like that, he is a demon. He is a demon, and because of his demonic nature, we should think he is a demon. I don't know if maybe there were sometimes devotees like that, but it's quite hard to believe that someone really thought like that. Huh? But it's true. There are only two classes of men in this extreme, in these poles, right? Devotee and demon. Someone who wants to be a God-loving person, and someone who does not want to be that. So demon is in one sense not the how to say that this active demons, so to say. They're also like passive demons, kind of innocent demons, those who just don't know, right? So the Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are many students and translators of Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada says if they don't have this parampara understanding, if they don't follow the words of Krishna, they're also demons. They misconstrue Krishna's words, and demon, right, in this more, how to say, non-devotee, which doesn't sound so harsh, non-devotee, he will never understand this science. He will never taste the fruit of transcendental knowledge. So only if we accept this knowledge in our heart and Krishna heart and practice it, then we will experience that what is described here, and then we will enter into this secret. So there are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. So this is what Prabhupada says here. So there are many editions of this great book of knowledge, but doesn't mean that all of them understood, because the deciding factor is, are you a devotee or not? Are you taking Krishna's words serious? And do you want to be a devotee of Krishna? Do you say, as Prabhupada sometimes mentions, I think it's even here in the 4th chapter later on, that you have to just say, Krishna, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. Yeah. This is kind of the punchline or deciding factor. Are you devotee or not devotee? Do you accept, at least to some degree, because it's a big realization also, but at least to some degree, you can say Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Yeah. Why? Even though there might be highly intellectual persons, learned, knowing Sanskrit in and out, but if they're not devotees, their commentaries are useless, because Bhagavad Gita is for developing bhakti, for developing love to Krishna. It's like a book how to learn to love Krishna. And if someone is not practicing that or accepting that, and even writing then on the words of Krishna, then his words, as Prabhupada says, they are useless, because they are not fulfilling the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, which is to become a devotee. And this is quite clear. Krishna says in the last instructions, the last parts of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Man mana bhava mat bhakto matyachi mang namaskuru mam evashesi satyam te pratichane prihosi me. 1865. Always think of me, he says. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me. Offer your homage unto me. Offer your respects unto me. In this way, you will come to me because you are my very dear friend. Yeah. So Krishna says, think of me. Be my devotee. Love me. I love you. So to develop devotion, bhakti, is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And actually not just of Bhagavad Gita, of all Vedic scriptures, even of the Upanishads, which seem to be far away from bhakti at times, or of the original Vedas, Rik, Yachu, Sama, Tharva Veda. Any Vedic text in the end has this goal of becoming Krishna conscious. And Krishna says this, Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham. In this verse 15:15, right? Savasya chaham ridisani vishto matas mritya jnanam apuanja vidaischa savai aham eva vidyo vedantagrit veda vid eva chaham. I'm the compiler of the Veda. I am the knower of the Veda. I am the goal of the Vedas. All the Vedas have me as their goal. Maybe not direct, because sometimes people are not ready for that. So there are some steps in between, but these steps lead to the next step, which in the end leads to this full devotion and bhakti. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. Very, very simple. Yeah. So, because Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God. What does that mean? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says it himself a couple of times in the Bhagavad Gita when he says that there's nothing above me. So this is one of the factors. This is one of the symptoms of Supreme Personality of Godhead, of the Supreme, that it is Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigra, Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. In this first line of Brahma Samhita, it's nicely said that he is the beginningless beginning and the cause of all causes, right? Like in Vedanta Sutra, where it said, Chanmadya Syayataha, the Brahman, the Supreme, is that from whom everything comes. And the Brahman itself or himself has no cause. So it's not that the Brahman came also from something. And Krishna says also in 7:7, Mata paratarang nanyat kinchit asti dananjaya mai sarvamitam protam sutre manikana iva. There's no truth higher than me. Mata paratarang anyat, there's nothing higher than me. And everything rests on me like pearls are strung on a thread. Or 10:8, aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Know that all the material and spiritual worlds emanate from me. Everything comes from me. But Krishna himself has no cause. He's causeless. He's the beginning of everything. So this is probably one of the major quality of the Supreme, that it's the beginning of everything and has himself no beginning. And the other thing is, of course, that Krishna has all his Akila, what is it? His not Akila Rasamrita Murti, but the other one, his Shat Aishvarya Purna is a nice concept. Shat Aishvarya Purna means he has 6 qualities. Purna means complete, perfectly. Yeah, so and I don't go into detail now from this one, because if I explain that verse or this concept, this takes some time, but you know it. Yeah, he is perfect in beauty, in strength, in knowledge, renunciation, in fame, and one more. Yeah. In wealth, in riches. He is the perfect person, the perfect personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute person. So this is the point, and everyone who understands that, accepts that, he's a devotee. And then our study of Bhagavad Gita will be very fruitful, very powerful, and also our practice of Krishna consciousness. If we are aware of that and want to be more aware of that, and with time, more and more, the loving relationship with Krishna comes more to the foreground. But this jnana, this knowledge, we are here also in the chapter of Jnana Yoga, is very important. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading path. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So I could say more about that, and I have one more point, a little story also. But I want to ask now the moderator, because we are now 7 minutes to 8. If I should tell for 3-4 minutes a little story, which is in connection with this, and then open to questions, or we tight in time and we open for questions now and want to finish at 8. Or how much more time do we have? So because I'm through with the purport now.
Story. Everyone here says story.
This is a short story. It's not now, but just one story which came to my mind. Because Prabhupada says here, so it's a philosophical story, a story with some philosophy connected. Prabhupada said here that the demon, the demonic commentator, he's misconstruing what he says here. He says something like this, Krishna's words, and misleading. And the number one misconstructor, right? One of the number one misconstructors, there's a couple of them. His name is Dr. Radha Krishna, or Dr. Radha Krishnan, or Radha Krishna. Most of you might have heard about him. What a beautiful name, right? Dr. Radha Krishna. Dr. Radha Krishna. But he was a Mayavadi, and he was, I think, he was a president of India. And then he wrote a Bhagavad Gita translation, a commentary, which is very famous actually. And it's so famous that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita's translation is based on this translation, because Prabhupada, when he came into the West, he wanted to present Bhagavad Gita, and he used the English translation of Dr. Radha Krishna to present his translation, not the purports. Very important, not the purports. The purports are Prabhupada and the Acharyas, but the translation were done in a nice way by Dr. Radha Krishna, and so Prabhupada used them. But at the same time, Prabhupada was condemning Dr. Radha Krishna because he misconstrued Krishna's words, and he said this famous line, it's not that we have to surrender to Krishna, the person, but to the unmanifest, the eternal, the unborn within Krishna. There's some entity communicating through Krishna, which is actually the supreme. So it's not when Krishna says surrender unto me, that means you should surrender to Krishna. No, you should surrender to this impersonal energy, right? So this is a typical Mayavadi phrase, and Prabhupada quoted this very often and said, this rascal, right? Krishna says, surrender unto me, and he says, don't surrender to Krishna. So Prabhupada was very strong on that. And in 1972 or 1, but I think it was 2, Prabhupada met Dr. Radha Krishna with his disciples, with Shyama Sundar. And I read this recently. The story is kind of known, but I read it also recently. In this book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, which was written by Shyama Sundar, a disciple of Prabhupada, who was traveling for, I don't know how many years, many years with Prabhupada, especially in the early days. He was with Prabhupada in Russia, many places in India, in Australia, in Africa, and he wrote this interesting biography and stories about Prabhupada. And then one day he visited Dr. Radha Krishna. And you see also the picture, Prabhupada sits with him on the couch. And Shyama Sundar says, Prabhupada comes in the room, sits on the couch, and it's not mincing words. It's not going to lots of, what is it, what is the English word? No, niceties. He merely preaches to him. Normally Prabhupada, actually very often, he kind of chit-chats and talks a bit, kind of, and then they enter into philosophy. But for this guy, he merely preaches to him. And you are a great commentator on Bhagavad Gita, and you should not write like this, and and Krishna is supreme person. They immediately preaches to the guy. And the guy, who was quite old at the time, is just sitting and listening. And Prabhupada preaches, and then suddenly Prabhupada realizes that this guy doesn't get anything, doesn't understand anything, and he turns to Shema Tsung and says, I think I don't know if you said he's crazy, but he said something because he was, what is it, senile? Yeah, he was actually senile. He could not think anymore. It was, if it's a person has Alzheimer or something like that. He wasn't, and Prabhupada was a bit shocked that he isn't getting anything. He's just sitting there like a couch potato. And then rather quickly they left, and Prabhupada was saying, see, this is what's happening. He wanted to ignore Krishna. Now Krishna ignores him. He lost his mind. He cannot think anymore. Before he was he was president of India, which is not a small thing. And he was a great scholar. And now Krishna took all his knowledge away. He took all his knowledge away. And I think Prabhupada even said next life he will become a dog or something. So I just remember this this little story. Of course, I could tell now many stories because I recently read this wonderful book. Yeah, I don't know. Prabhupada stories are very interesting. Okay, so as I said, was just a small story, but I can only recommend to you, especially for those who speak, and of course now everyone speaks English because you listen to me 1 hour. Please read the books about Prabhupada. The books about Prabhupada are as powerful as the books written by Prabhupada. Of course, we pronounce more Prabhupada's books, but the stories about Prabhupada and the remembrance and the activities, the adventures devotees had with Prabhupada are most amazing and endear Prabhupada to us more and more. So this we get more Wertschätzung, yeah, for Prabhupada's books, and want to dedicate our life to this wonderful person who Prabhupada is, because he did everything for us. He did everything for us, right? So we want to appreciate that. And when you read this, and then you see when you read the stories that Prabhupada was not just a genius and pure devotee and wonderful writer. He was such an amazing person, and he did amazing things. It's very interesting, and we fall in love with Prabhupada. Really, it's not joke. It's very powerful. And we are very happy that so many biographies are now there, like this Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, or Miracle on Second Avenue, or the books by Guru Das, or Malati. No, she was not. Was she writing a book? Yamuna was writing a book. And anyway, I can highly recommend this. Hare Krishna. So I don't know what's the time. You decide, you say, if there are any questions or whatever, or if that's the end, then.
Just picking up your point about Prabhupada's books, there is one very famous disciple of Prabhupada who wrote some books about him, Satsvarup Das Goswami. And he is in America, and he will be giving a lecture next week on Janmashtami, by the way, at 5 o'clock Central European Time. It is 11 o'clock in America. And he will be joined by his neighbor, Ravindra Sarup Prabhu. They live in the same neighborhood, and they will be giving a Janmashtami lecture about the appearance of Lord Krishna at 11 in the morning in the US, which is 5 o'clock in the evening here in Germany. And yeah, if you want to have any details on that, you can find them. You can, I don't know, ask me or write the ISKCON Berlin Facebook page. We can provide you with the info for that. So originally we had I anticipated that the Oslo devotees would be here, but they are not. I had learned some Norwegian for that, but yeah, sometime later. But I can see that
You will be able to use it another time.
I can already sense there is someone here in this audience, here in the temple, who has a question. So I'm asking, Kon Prashne Ache. I guess that's a yes. That was Bengali. Are there any questions? And what a coincidence. There is a Bengali devotee here who has a question, and he is approaching us, or you, and is asking the question now. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, and I'm so happy and grateful to hear your lecture. You talked a lot about humility. So yeah, I just wanna explain, or I just wanna share one incident of mine that happened, and I found myself as a hypocritic guy. So the thing is, I have a younger sister who is like 4 or 5 years younger than me, and when I was talking with her, and she was criticizing to me that I am not fulfilling my duties, blah 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 things. And yeah, there were some fault of mine, and yeah, I couldn't take her criticism, and I was furious with her, and I was sometimes feeling like that I should block her in all kind of social media, that she cannot
So it's
communicate with me.
no.
And then after some time I realized that I'm going to the temple, I'm trying to chant, I'm trying to read the books, I should be humble. But why I am furious, and why I, and during that fight with my sister, I tried to find out the faults of my sisters also, all those fault finding mentality just came up inside me. And yeah, that's the incident. So I figure out that I am a hypocritic guy, so I am trying to show myself as humble in the temple, but in my family life, or with my, when I'm dealing with my relatives, I am not that humble. And I'm getting angry so quickly with my sister, as I said to you. So my question is, how can I deal with those situations, and how can I be humble all kind of criticism or all kind of things, and how to stop this fault finding mentality of mind, that to reverse her conversation, or to give her some points. I already started criticizing her, so I don't want to criticizing her. I just want to take all of these blames, or whatever she's giving me, I just want to take it as humbly as possible. And a short point with my question, that how can we realize that we are having pride after doing some chanting, after trying to do some service at the temple or service at home? How can we realize that, yeah, there is some pride just gaining or burning in our mind? That is my question.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, of course, much can be said about that, but um, yeah, we're all hypocrites, right? It's for all of us in one sense, right? We want to be very nice devotees and humble, but at the same time, there's so many situations where we act completely in the opposite way. So it's not that we are hypocrites. I wouldn't say. It's not like, it's not by it's not a conscious decision. It's just like that we are in situations where we can easily be humble, like in a temple. It's easier in front of the deities and devotees. We're much more aware what is our position, how we should behave. And then there are situations where it's harder to be humble, in business life or on the street, and sometimes with family also, right? This is, in one sense, it's normal. And this is a part of our development, that our humility increases into areas where we would normally not be humble, or where we are more challenged. So this is as I said, it will be increasing with the progress of spiritual life. We see this. Prabhupada, he was always humble with anyone, amazingly humble. But Prabhupada was also sometimes very strong and direct. So humility does not mean that we should be always, swallowing everything what people throw at us. Yeah, we should understand how to process a feedback, a criticism, or some, challenge. We shouldn't be too much. Yeah, we shouldn't be in the ego. We shouldn't take it too personal. We should see the value in it. But from the other point of view, we should also see where that might be a misbehavior by the opposite party. But at the same time, of course, there are the sayings. So in the Shastra, I read a verse yesterday where it said a devotee will never fight back. He will never act in the same way how he was dealt with. Even though someone is blaming him, criticizing him, is cheating him, even hurting or killing him, a devotee will not even think of revenge, right? And this is the power of a devotee. And these ideals are very good to know, and slowly we will work ourselves there. But from the other point of view, it's also important to know where we are really at, and we cannot artificially be like that. And there will be many situations in life where our humility and all that is challenged, and most of the time, yeah, we have to learn the hard lesson and learn how to not do it by often doing it, right? Like in your situation, you could not be like that, but now it's not too late. Try to correct it as good as possible, and be humble. And I don't know the details, of course, of your communication, and but still humility always wins. It's true. You can excuse yourself, and um, it can be also like that you excuse yourself, you're humble, you say I'm sorry, and search for the fault on your side, but the opposite party is not accepting it. Then what to do? You don't have to, crawl in the dust forever, and this person is just keeping the grudge, because it's also offense to keep the grudge. Actually, the opposite party should verzeihen. Huh? What is it? Huh? Should. What is the English word? Huh? Forgive. The opposite party has to forgive. If someone is humble and excusing, the opposite party has to forgive. And if the opposite party is not forgiving, you did your duty. You keep no grudge, but at the same time, respect from the distance. What can you do if someone keeps a grudge and hate and enmity towards you? But we should clear our hearts definitely from all this hatefulness and all that. And we are not responsible for the feelings of the opposite party. So that comes to my mind. And the other thing was what you said. What was the other thing? Question
about pride.
Pride. Ah, yeah, the pride thing. Yeah. How to see pride? There are many things, of course, but one thing is helpful to not look so much at the pride, but more develop the opposite, which is humility. Yeah. Think about the humility of devotees and follow their footsteps. Like in the songs of Bhakti Thakur, expresses so much humility in the person of the devotees, of Prabhupada, the Guru. Have shining examples of humility, and then your pride will be obvious, isn't it? When we see what is real humility, we see the contrast, and we see, whoa, there it's lacking with me, meaning there's some pride. I cannot be so humble like that, meaning, oh, there's some pride. So we shouldn't focus so much on the pride, more on the humility, I would say. And where? In those who have humility, advanced devotees. And there's so many examples in our literature and our tradition. So focus on that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So if anyone else has a question, they can just unmute themselves and speak.
I think there was a hand behind you.
Yes, Mahaman Prabhu will be approaching
Hare
the
Krishna.
microphone.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for the nice lecture. My question is, what is your opinion about, shall we try to develop these good qualities by ourselves? Should we do some endeavor to focus on these good qualities? Or should we just surrender to Krishna and wait that we get all these good qualities?
Yeah, this is a long discussion, and I would say we should do both. Of course, if we are very determined and very strict, then the bhakti itself will do everything. And we can see that. But from the other point of view, Krishna gives so many tips, or isn't it, of these qualities, and Prabhupada goes into length to explain them, like in the 16th chapter, in the 13th chapter, in the 10th chapter, in the 16th chapter, right? So many chapters explain these qualities which we should have and all that. So meaning, yes, we should work on them. We should understand them, we work on them. So I would say to develop these qualities is part of bhakti. It's part of bhakti, and it should be both. And of course, when you do serious bhakti yoga, naturally you see where you have to work on yourself, and you understand, oh, this and that quality or this misbehavior is there. So it goes along, I would say. I think it's the same thing in that sense. It's the same thing. Yeah, so we work on these qualities, and this is part of Bhakti Yoga. It's called Anatta Nivritti, isn't it? I would say it's part of Anatta Nivritti, to see the anarthas and purify yourself from them. How? Understanding where they are, accept them. It's always like this. Huh? How do you say? Akzeptieren, tolerieren, transzendieren. At first you accept that you are envious, right? In the beginning you don't want to accept it. No, I'm not envious. I'm a pure devotee and it's their fault and I'm not. No, it's not my own. Then you, oh no, I'm envious. I have rascal tendency. I have envy. Okay, you accept, first accept that you're envious or lusty or angry or cheating, whatever. You have to accept the anartha. Understand, of course, it's not me. I am not the anartha. I have anartha. Okay, accept it. Then learn to live with it. Tolerate it. Work on it. Yeah, but tolerate that you have it and work on it, and then transcend it and it will go away. So accept, tolerate, and transcend. Akzeptieren, tolerieren, transzendieren. This is kind of a formula which I try to at least use. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jai.
So if there are no further questions, yes, you still have some seconds. You can just, unmute yourself, tap on the microphone icon on in the bottom left corner of your screen, and then you can speak if you have a microphone. Otherwise, you could also type into the chat box, but there is only one emoticon that has been sent, which has no meaning. So anyway, there is no question in the chat. And if there is no question from anyone else, I cannot hear anyone unmuting himself. Is there anyone here in the audience? They are hungry. They want to eat something. Yeah, sorry, it's true. Anyway, thank you very much, Ananda Krishna Prabhu, for joining us, for giving us this nice and interesting talk, and for answering the questions in such a nice way. We hope to have you with us very soon. And yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Greetings to Berlin. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. I wish you all the best. And yeah, maybe sometimes I come to Berlin, but right now I have no plans for that. But at least we can be together like this. Yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy Kirtan and Prasadam. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Okay, here's a brief darshan. You can just have a look at our deities. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Haribol.
Haribol. Hare Krishna.